one of my mentors says that we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes with cells of recognition. So
Wow.
what you believe in your mind is your perception, then that's what you're going to see. So if you're looking at your body and your perception of your body is it's ugly, it's flabby, I mean there could be some reality in that, as we age,
Right.
but if you're looking negatively at your body, then that's what the belief in your mind is.
Hey, and welcome to the Strong Beauty Method podcast. This is your host, Lydia Martinez Ebling, and this is the go-to place for every woman over 40 looking to feel healthy, fit, and strong and confident in her own skin. And today, I have to tell you, I'm super excited for our guest. I told you, I shared with you before, I have some really cool friends and I'm going to be bringing them on. But the guest that I have today exemplifies what it is to be a strong beauty. She is Audacious CEO Incorporated. She's, as far as the owner of that, she's also the founder of Red Carpet CEO. She is a brand personality and she is my friend. And I'm going to let her talk more than I'm going to talk about her. But she's here today to share her inspiring story and some wisdom. So I just want to go ahead and get started. Alicia Couri, welcome to the Strong Beauty Method podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out today.
Lydia, I am so honored that you have asked me to join you and that you've chosen to have me share what we went through because
Yeah.
it was a collective effort. When I tell you my story a little bit later, but I thank you so much. Yes, I am passionate about helping women be audaciously confident, and what better confidence than in your own health? I mean, that's
Right.
like a foundational thing.
Yeah, for sure. Before we talk about, because your story is amazing, and one of the things I left out, you guys, she's a TEDx speaker. That's a big deal. And it was an amazing session, by the way. I loved it. I watched it a few weeks ago. But tell them a little bit about like what you do, like your company, because you're really into helping leaders bring out the best of them. And I think it's important because it has a lot to do with even health as well.
Absolutely. So the work that I do in Audacious Concepts Inc. is we work with organizations with their leadership development and their teams. And one of the assessments that I use when we're doing work with them, and this is an assessment that's great for hiring, making sure you have the right person in the right role. And the assessment measures your cognitive instincts. So, three different parts of our brain. There's the cognitive that we've probably all heard about, our thinking, how we think, and that's around like our skills, our knowledge, our what we know. And then there's the affective part of the brain that is all about your feelings, your emotions. So we call that the emotional mind, your emotional intelligence. And then there's a third part that really measures your innate ability to take action, and it's the doing part of your mind. So when you're striving and you're problem solving and trying to take action, this part of the mind engages, and it's called the cognitive part. And it really is that mental energy, your drive, your subconscious commitments, your just the way that you take action when nobody is telling you how to solve a problem. This is your instinctive go-to. Now, why this is important is they did some brain scans of people who work within their natural instincts, their cognitive abilities, and the prefrontal cortex of the brain sort of lit up. And that's where that's where that is housed. The cognitive and the cognitive is in that prefrontal executive function of the brain. And then they also did brain scans when they had them work against their natural instincts for doing. And more than half the brain was lit up red, so it was under stress, and it stayed that way even after someone rested from working like.
Wow.
So what happens is if your brain is under that type of stress for a long period of time, it impacts your physical health. So we want to, when we go into work with organizations, it's really to measure and understand if people are in the roles that is not creating that strain and that tension, that mental stress within their brain, and bring them to a place where there's alignment and they're not experiencing that kind of stress. Now, there could be other cognitive stress and affective stress, but really that mental cognitive stress is the one that really creates that when people get headaches and they get migraines and they start getting uh, disengaged, they get fatigued really quickly when they're working against their natural instincts. So that's really what we do. And then we have a media side of our company, which I love doing, which is podcasting and doing web shows and helping people build their brands and share their brands in digital media.
Which you do an amazing job of. But let's go back to the brain real quick, because we use this with our clients, because it's literally when someone says that's not how my brain works, it literally means
It's
that's
not
not
how
how
your
their
brain
brain
works.
works.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And it's not that you can't, right? It's not that you cannot do these things. It's just that it puts that added stress on your brain. So like someone like me, when it comes to doing a lot of research and detail oriented work, that puts stress on my brain. I'm more that simplifier. I want high level bullet points, give me the bottom line of stuff. Don't make me read a 15-page report if we can summarize it in one page. so, so that's me. And I know that about myself. So I understand that I miss details. My brain doesn't see a lot of really fine details unless I'm like sitting down, concentrating, like block everything out and know I have to concentrate on this. I can't tell you how many times I've booked flights and I've booked flights into airports and rented a car in another airport. Like there are two or three airports in that same city, and I'm like, wait a second. Because I didn't pay attention to the detail. But you know what? Because I know that about myself, I laugh about it. Like, okay, now we have another problem to solve. How am I going to solve that problem
Right.
once I land? So, those are some of the things that I've learned about myself, not to beat myself up about and say, oh, you're so stupid. How could you do something like that? It's just that, oh, I didn't pay attention to that detail. Maybe next
Yeah.
time I'll check to see if there are more airports in this city than than just one. So,
That would help. I have so many stories like that when I used to travel all the time for corporate. But so how did you actually get started with not just with what you're teaching, with how the brain works and improving leadership and helping them excel, but also with the red carpet CEO and brand and marketing and podcasts? How do you do all that?
how did I get started with all of that? Quite accidentally. I I was I was working on my own brand, and you and I both know the same coach that I was working with at the time,
Mhm.
and she mentioned to me that I am a speaker, and I was like, "What? I'm not." There's nothing that I have to say that anybody wants to hear. That was my mindset at the time. That's how I thought about myself. And you mentioned that I'm a TEDx, I just did a TEDx, and that's been a journey to get there because I didn't believe that I had anything worth sharing. I didn't believe that I could stand on stage and speak to anybody. I had all these negative beliefs about myself. And so the first real step I think that got me to this red carpet CEO branding and media, digital media presence was when I went to an event and someone had talked about booking yourself on TV. And I thought, huh, I could do that. And then all the demons, like, why would you want to be on TV? You
Right.
don't have anything worth being on TV. In fact, people told me that when I mentioned, oh, I think I might want to do that. They're like, why would you want to be on TV? You don't have anything of value to share on TV, trying to
Wow.
reinforce my own negative thoughts. But something inside of me was stirring, and I signed up for the course and I did it, and I booked myself on, I think, five appearances on NBC, ABC, CBS in a short period of time. I mean, it took me a while to first get a booking, but then the bookings just started coming, and that was the first time I realized I I can be in front of the camera. I can actually speak coherently, and not like break down when someone asks me a question. It's like, so because I had to write my own pitch, and then I had to pitch it, and then I had to
Mhm.
get on TV, and then I had to be interviewed by the reporter, and for a 2 3 minute interview, sometimes up to 5 minutes, I actually got excited about doing that.
That's
And
cool.
so then that led to a radio show that I had in Boca here in
Hmm.
Florida. And then Facebook Live started blowing up, and I started just doing that, and then podcasting, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, YouTube Lives, podcasting, and all this wonderful stuff kind of opened a door for me just by taking a chance on myself and saying,
Hmm.
I want to try that. So that's kind of how all of that came about. And
Hmm.
because I was working with other women on helping them look good and feel good, because my background is in beauty. I was a makeup artist and hairstylist and doing wardrobe styling. So I went from helping women stand out in their brand physically,
Hmm.
how they felt, how they looked, to then bringing them on and talking about themselves and teaching them how to embody that confidence beyond just the outward appearance.
That's so cool. And the thing is, I remember your journey, part of your journey, and we've done stuff over the past decade together.
Mhm.
And you just always a natural to me. So for you to have those feelings, but it's not uncommon. The things
Right,
that you share for women, we tend to get inside our head, and as we the air quotes mature,
right.
you know, a lot of things shift for us in our thinking and confidence, right? Among our body.
Yeah, among our body, right. I mean, I think I had the greatest imposter syndrome of all imposter syndromes. Like, I did not feel like I belonged anywhere or I was worthy of anything. And
Hmm.
so having to just walk that journey of of transforming that mindset and realizing I didn't even think I was pretty. Like, that's how bad my own
Yeah.
concept of myself was. Like, I hated taking photos. Now, if you look at my social media, I don't have a problem with that anymore. But I hated looking at any photo of myself. I thought it was so ugly. And, one of my mentors says that we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes with cells of recognition. So,
Wow.
what you believe in your mind is your perception, then that's what you're going to see. So if you're looking at your body and your perception of your body is it's ugly, it's flabby, I mean, there could be some reality in that, as we age,
Right.
but if you're looking negatively at your body, then that's what the belief in your mind is.
Hmm.
And we can't escape that until we have awareness around it and start looking at ourselves differently.
Hmm.
And then we can shift those things. So I had
Man,
to learn
that's
that. I had to stop looking at myself as ugly and actually
hmm
start seeing beauty, seeing what everybody else keeps telling me that they're seeing. And I had
hmm
to shift that.
that's and that's actually amazing. And I see it so often, and I relate, or it resonates in my heart, definitely, because I used to feel the same way in different ways. Because when people would tell me that I was pretty, I'm like, I don't see what you see.
I don't see what you see.
I'm like, my eyebrows are crooked, my one eyelash is out.
Right. If you
It's
look at
like all these things.
all the little pieces of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I hated my smile so much. I
Hmm.
thought my teeth were too big and they were too big for my face. And now I smile because I know it makes not just makes me feel good, but it makes other people feel good. When you
Right.
smile at them, then it lifts their mood too. So
So much.
I love my big old teeth, and
Do I?
you see
Don't
all my
get
molars all
along.
the way. I smile all the way to my molars, to my wisdom teeth.
It's all good. It's all good. It's beautiful.
Right.
It's, let's I mean, I could keep going on this subject, but let's talk a little bit about like your journey, and I want to talk about your TEDx talk.
Yes. Okay. So uh, you and I have been friends for a while, but back in 2020, I was diagnosed with DCIS. It's a form of breast cancer. And it was the pandemic, and I really didn't know what to do at that time. And so I did reach out to you, and you
Hmm.
kind of counseled me on certain things that I was doing that was probably not the right things to do in that moment. And one of the things that I was doing, because I thought I was a pretty healthy woman,
Hmm.
I watched what I ate, and I I ran. I didn't I didn't run like marathons or anything. Like I would sprint for 7 minutes a day. That was my exercise. I was sprinting as fast as I could run, 7 minutes. And people would ask me, well, why 7 minutes? I said that got me from my front door around the block and back to my front door. All right. It was like three quarters, was it three-quarters of a mile? Just over half a mile.
Hmm.
And that was as much as exercise as I was willing to tolerate. And so the first thing you told me is stop running.
Yeah.
You need to walk. And I was like, stop running, walk. What are you talking about?
Do
Walking.
less.
I'm like, that's going to take me like 20 minutes instead of seven, you know? So in resistance.
That's a whole nother show. I'll tell you that right now.
Listen, I was in such resistance because I don't like exercising. I don't like
Hmm.
working out. You know, I
Hmm.
naturally have a thin body. But I had after 40, I had to work on it. I had
Hmm.
to work on it because I started gaining weight after 40. And then and my gynecologist would say, "Oh, 5 pounds a year, that's not bad." I'm like, 5 pounds a year isn't bad. I'm gonna be a balloon by the time I'm 50.
Built like a meatball.
Like, and I think that was one of the mindset. I'm like, no, I am not putting on 5 pounds a year. I'm done
Hmm.
with that. So that was one of the things that once I was diagnosed, and you said, watch everything that you're putting in and on your body. And so I did that for a while. And then I started talking to the one surgeon I had, the first breast surgeon said that she was going to do a left breast mastectomy.
Hmm.
And I felt like that was using a bazooka for a pimple, right? I felt like
Right.
it was DCIS. Yes, there were three tumors, and they weren't sure of whether the aggressive nature. They weren't sure of it, but she wanted to take it off because she's like, you won't have to worry about breast cancer in that breast anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, but I won't have a breast.
Right.
So my instincts was telling me that that wasn't the right move for me, and I prayed about it. You know, I really
Hmm.
prayed about it, and my spirit was like, no, that's not the right thing to do. So went on a search for another surgeon, and I found an oncoplastic surgeon. She's so amazing. She was the one that really started helping me understand the diagnosis, what's going
Hmm.
on inside my breast, what are the options. And then we started talking about other types of surgery. And that's at the point when I decided to invest in working with you and Ryan and say, okay, I need more help than I could, because I don't know this information, and I
Hmm.
need more help than what I know, especially since choosing I was choosing a different path than the surgeons and
Right.
the medical professionals were telling me is the standard of care,
Hmm.
which would be surgery, radiation, and then immune hormone therapy, which is
Right.
hormone therapy is really
Blockers.
blocking your
Hmm.
hormones. And I didn't feel comfortable going down that route because I felt that there was more to
Hmm.
investigate around that. And that's really where I was leaning into your expertise as a uh, hormone specialist to help me understand what I didn't know. And
Hmm.
that's at the point I'm like, I don't care what I have to invest. I'm going to I'm going to find a way to make this work. I'm going to find the money to do this because I knew the importance of what I was facing and what it could eventually lead to if I went down the route of hormone. Now, some people need that. They really
Yeah.
do need that. I had no genetic markers for it. Like it wasn't, we did the genetic testing. They were negative, and so I felt like, why am I taking away all my hormone? Why am I blocking all my hormones? That's going to throw my body into God knows what.
Yeah.
And so the one thing I did know was that drugs beget more drugs. Once you start down that slope, it becomes a slippery slope because this drug, now you need to take this drug to combat the side effects of this drug, and then this
Right.
drug and before you know it, you're taking 10 different drugs, and you don't know how you got there. And
Right.
so I wanted to preserve the integrity of my system for as
Yeah.
long as possible. And now I'm 55, and I'm trying to stay off the drugs for as long as
Yeah.
possible, because that's who knows where that leads.
Well, and one of the things that we always share with our ladies is that there's no perfect medication. For every medication, there's always going to be a side effect. And it's really important to everybody listening right now or watching that we're not anti-medication, because there is a
No,
time and place for medication. We're not
absolutely.
anti-surgery. You made decisions for yourself
Correct.
based on getting the right information for you. And I commend you on that, because I think so often, I know, when it comes to women, and it's almost like the white coat syndrome. We walk in and we don't know how to express ourselves. We don't know how to stand up for
Right.
ourselves. And you could be confident as all get out, but when you walk into that health professionals,
Especially facing something
yeah,
life that could potentially be life threatening,
right,
right?
right.
Um,
And
Go ahead.
no, yeah, exactly. That's life threatening. So you're like, what do I do? And you're trusting them with the information that they have, but they don't know what they don't know. And again,
Exactly.
we're not against the doctors. Our
But
whole
they
role is
specialize in
to,
certain things, and
yes,
and the thing about it was, when I was listening to the doctor tell me, the one thing that really I knew I needed to find a different doctor was when she kept trying to convince me that I have cancer.
right.
Because my attitude has always been, let me hear what you have to say. I don't emotionally respond to things. I listen, and I'm not going to because when you allow your emotions to take over, you don't hear the information the same way. And
Right.
so while I was in her office and she was looking at my scans and she's talking about DCIS, and she's, you know, sharing all the stuff that she's sharing, and she keeps looking at me and she's like, you do realize you have cancer, right? You do know that this is cancer, right? You do. And she kept trying for me to agree with her. And I kept saying, I hear what the diagnosis is. I understand what you're telling me. And so when I asked about the estrogen, like, she's like, yes, this is an estrogen dominant type of cancer. And I was like, okay, so what do we do about the estrogen? And she's like, oh, we're going to put you on hormone blockers. And I was like, that's the only option I have?
Right.
All right.
Right.
I talked to Lydia. so so I left there, and when they called me a few days later to ask me to set up an appointment, because they were trying to rush me to set up the surgical appointment and everything, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna explore alternatives. I really want to make sure that my body is healthy before I explore a surgical option. I want to make sure that my hormones are in flowing the right way, and clear up that dirty estrogen stuff.
Right.
And they were like, huh. I mean, this is the nurse on the phone. She was like, well, good luck with that. I mean, I guess we'll hear from you whenever. I'm like, like, She was very rude to me because I was not conforming in
Yeah.
there. And even like when I went to the oncologist and she prescribed the tamoxifen for me, and I
Hmm.
and I and the nurse was like, do you need a refill of the tamoxifen? I'm like, no, I'm not taking it. She's like, you're not taking it. And then the oncologist walks in the room, doctor, she's not taking the tamoxifen. And she's
Uh-huh.
like, I suspected as much. I
Oh,
suspected that you wouldn't be. My oncologist is so cool. She was like,
mm,
we're going to just keep monitoring you, but I understand you want a holistic option. So we're just going to keep and just share with us what you find, what you're doing. Share with me.
right.
I'm interested in knowing. So I'm glad that, the oncologist, the Lord led me
Yeah.
to the right people.
Exactly, exactly. That's the first thing that you did is you prayed on it and laid your request on the table, right?
Right, exactly.
You think about that too, and that's important because finding the right health professional, one of the things that we always try to share with our women or just our community in general, it's that, if you are not having, it's a collaboration, right?
Correct.
They work for you. It's not that you walk in and you boss them around, but if it can't be a conversation, then and you don't feel heard and
Yeah,
you don't feel what they're saying, then you need to find a new health professional, period.
exactly.
And there's a lot of great health professionals out there understanding that the base is let's get to the root. Let's get to the nutrition part of it, the activity part of it, the lifestyle part of it, and
Hmm.
then do what we can, holistically or naturally versus just automatically let's cut it out, put a code on it,
And
medicate it,
yeah,
band-aid it.
medicate it, band-aid it, and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we owe it to ourselves to investigate that.
Hmm.
I felt I had some runway. Now, there's some people who get diagnosed that don't have that option because the tumor is aggressive and they can't wait 3 months. They
Right.
have to get that out of their body. That was not my situation. So I just want to
Hmm.
make that perfectly clear. That was not the case for me.
Right.
But even in some of those cases, you can seek an alternate opinion if you feel rushed, if you feel like because there are some doctors that will say, no, you're not going home. You're going straight to we're checking you in
Yeah.
right now. You need to go into surgery ASAP.
Yeah.
And that, again, depending on what your spiritual level is, I would just suggest, check in, like
Yeah.
check in immediately. Like,
Your gut
one,
tells you. Your gut will tell you. I mean, the Holy Spirit will tell you. If
yes,
if that's the way that you lean and believe and
right.
trust. But I mean, whether you want to call it sixth sense or whatever, I can't tell you how many times my gut was like, and then when I didn't listen to,
Yep, got a mess of trouble.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to share with the listeners like where you are right now. But before you do, mindset. Like what was? Yeah, you were strong during the process, but did you struggle with the mindset part of it of just not getting into fear or what it's like when we get alone
Yeah.
sometimes and we just start getting in our head. Did you struggle with any of that?
Honestly, I didn't until like making the decision to have surgery was a challenge because I'd never had surgery before in my life. I'd
Hmm.
never been under any anesthesia, and so that was a little bit of a challenging decision to make to
Hmm.
actually go into surgery. But I'll tell you, the one moment that I really broke down was after I had surgery, I started to heal. And then I had a conversation with the doctor, and she said, we got the pathology reports back, and I'm not sure if we have enough of the margins. Like the margins were super thin in some areas because she
Hmm.
took a huge section out of my left breast and reconstructed both of them so that they'll be even and everything. And so just telling me that she wanted to go back in another surgery and also check the lymph nodes and to make sure that they got everything. In that moment, I was like, oh, what? No.
Yeah.
Back
Oh,
again. You know, that was,
mhm.
I can tell you, that was the one moment that I had like that, just that moment of, ugh, feeling
Yeah.
a little defeated because I
Hmm.
thought I made the decision. Everything's good. I'm starting to heal. But you know what? We went back in. She did the surgery again and removed some more, and it just proved that everything was clear. My lymph nodes were clear. She had gotten everything out, and so going back in was a good decision because now we know for sure that everything
Hmm.
was cleared out. And so, you know, yeah, but that was the moment.
Yeah. So where are you now?
So I am cancer free, 2 years, and
Woohoo!
yay, and have been back every 6 months. So I chose not to do radiation. I chose not to
Mhm.
be on any of the hormone blockers. I'm working with Lydia on regulating those hormones, and I'm not perfect. I don't, it's but I do my best to follow what I need to follow, and so the thing that I have to also say with Lydia and Ryan, they gave me specialized testing. You know, they said do the Dutch test, do this DNA test. You know, they wanted to understand on a cellular level what was happening in my body. And so they did those types of testing. And so I did my mammogram and ultrasound over a week ago, and they said that I don't have to go in every 6 months anymore. I'm clear to go
Nice.
in once a year, which is like back to normal type of screening. So, yay!
Yay. No hormone blockers, no radiation, no just.
No chemo. I didn't have to be on chemo.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm
That's
very
amazing.
grateful, very thankful. You know, prayed all my because I believe in prayer and the power of prayer and belief, and that's what helps hold you. So,
Hmm.
what you believe helps hold you strong. And
Yes.
you may not believe in the power of prayer like I do, but you may have a strong mental attitude towards your own health and healing, and that can hold you strong too. I just lean on the Lord. That's what I do.
There you go. There you go. I'm with you on that one. And that is, well, I mean, it's one of the things we teach. It's like whatever it is that you're believing is going to create your focus. Your focus is going to create your actions. Your actions are going to create your results. You
Yeah.
know, so if we're looking constantly worried, stressed out, then your brain is just going to constantly look for that worry and stress and
It's going to find
drama
it.
and
It's
yeah.
going to find it.
You
Yep.
know what's Job say or said? You know, the thing I feared the most has come
Has come
upon me.
upon me. It's going
You
to
know. Now, you're going to be joining us for an event that we have coming up soon, the Hormone Macro Code, and it'll be all about transforming your body. If you are over 40, we're talking about transforming your body and turning back on that fat burning, you know,
the
whatever you want to call
metabolism.
it, metabolism. You're going to be a special guest with us. Can you give everyone like a little sneak peek of like what you're going to talk about?
So I thought about it, and I think I am going to talk about the alter ego
Mm,
because the reason is sometimes you may not be in a health crisis like I was. You might not be facing something that you need immediate intervention for. And you don't know what you don't know. Lydia said that earlier. I thought I was
mhm.
doing healthy things for myself, and I didn't realize that I was spiking my cortisol and creating all kinds of other things inside my body. And the reason I was thinking about the alter ego is because the alter ego does four things for you. Number one, it protects your own ego from criticism. So when you start making those changes for yourself, and people start, well, what are you doing that for? Blah 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 blah. Because everybody feels like they can speak into your life. Um,
Right?
Protect your own fragile ego from anyone criticizing you. The second thing it does is it suspends your disbelief about yourself. So if you think that, oh, well, I can't do this, this is hard, I can't do it, it'll suspend that disbelief for yourself. And then it uncovers actually strengths and superpowers that you didn't even know you had. And then the fourth thing is that it empowers you to become who you've always wanted to be and you didn't even realize it and you didn't even know it. And so I think that's what I really want to talk about is like creating that persona for yourself as you enter into this journey that can hold you accountable to the goal that you have and what you want to accomplish, even if you don't have something pushing against you. So I thought that's something that I could share.
I love it. That sounds, oh my God, it's going to be so good. I know it's going to be so good. I want to keep talking to you, but we try to keep it a little short to keep people's attention these days. You know how that is, but I'm sure women are going to want to hear more of your story and so much more. And you're probably wondering about the event and everything that we mentioned. We'll put the link in the show notes and you go check it out. It's completely free masterclass that we're going to be doing. What's one thing I would like you to share how they can get connected with you, stay connected with you. But if you like, what's one thing that you want to share or leave the listeners with today?
You had asked me this question, like, what are, and I'm going to say one thing and three things, but you asked me this question, what are three things that a woman should know about, stepping into this health journey? And I thought about what you said and I said, you know what? I don't have three things that, like typical things for women. All I can tell you is three things that I know about me that led me into working with you and Ryan, and why I resisted it for so long. And number one is that I don't like people telling me what to do. So if you're anything like me, this may or may not resonate with you, okay? But if you're anything like me, I don't like people telling me what to do. I won't call myself lazy, but I don't like to work out. I don't like working out. So, and then the third thing is, I know I'm bad, but
I love it.
the third thing about me is, you know what? Sorry. Probably have to cut this. Oh, right. The third thing about me is I want to eat what I want to eat. I don't want anybody to tell me what to eat and what not to eat. And so that's where I was when I started working with Ryan and Lydia. What resistances I had, right? I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I hate exercising, and I want to eat what I want to eat. So if that's you, and you're like me, the Strong Beauty Method is so simple, and it's not strenuous, and you can do this. And I would really encourage you to hook up with Ryan and Lydia because we don't know what we don't know. They do all the research. We don't have to be experts in this. They know it. And so just kind of ride their coattails. That's what I'm doing. I kind of just hooked on and I'm like, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
Oh, yeah. I totally, this is why we've always connected because I'm so there with you. Because Ryan will tell me to do something. I'm like, you're not the boss of me.
You're not the boss.
You're not my trainer.
But you know what? I need you to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
I
know.
moved from the resistance to now, please tell me what to do so I can do it and be successful in this and not struggle.
Yeah.
So.
And even your doctor said, keep doing what you're doing.
That's right. We'll talk about that at
Yeah.
the thing. What the doctors had told me, because when I was following your advice, what was happening in my body that they couldn't deny when I was doing my
Yeah.
MRIs. We'll talk
That's
about that.
pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Will you come back?
Of course, anytime. I'll talk your head off. I'll be
I know,
back.
that's what's so funny. We're so similar because I used to be terrified of speaking. I still get a little, verklempt, but I used to hide in the bathroom, like when people would want me to talk. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'll get on camera, da 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 da.
And you can't shut me up now. I can just can't.
So definitely, because I want to talk so much more just about the brain, your journey, some shifts that you made, that we've experienced over, the last 2 years. But how can people connect with you? Where can they find you?
Oh, the email
Ask you questions.
is alicia360.com. So Alicia, ALICIA 360.com. They could find every way to connect with me there on WhatsApp, email, phone, everything.
Yeah, we'll have it in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
And Alicia, Thank you so much for taking time out just to, just everything. I appreciate so much of who you are,
Oh,
and I appreciate your friendship. So thank you for being on.
ditto,
And
ditto. Thank you for helping me navigate this journey that I was facing. And I truly, truly appreciate you and Rye for being in my corner and helping me out.
oh, we love you.
We love you too.
Take care.